Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Aska, where you, the audience, gets to ask questions of people that you may not have a chance to interact with on a day-to-day basis. I'm one of the co-hosts, Big Irish Jay Hollingsworth.
And I'm Kev on stage, and today we have disability lifestyle influencer Lolo Sitting Pretty for Ask a Person in a Wheelchair.
Yes,
Lolo,
indeed.
welcome to the show. Let's clap it up
Thank
for her.
you.
Chair.
Thank you for having me, you guys.
So I met Lolo at All Deaf. She was an actress in Inside the Office video and some other stuff, and she was super cool. We made fun of her being in a wheelchair.
Yes.
We made
And had a great time doing it.
when we're in the video, we're trying to be politically correct. So
Right.
much to the point where it was like, fam, come on.
Yeah.
So that kind of leads to my first question. So the way this works, me and Jay ask our questions that
Okay.
are interesting to us.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then we go to the audience's questions. So
Okay, fair
my first question to you is, does people trying to be so politically correct, does that like make it politically incorrect? Or does it like upset you when people like try to treat you so special that you're like, fam, I'm still a person?
Yeah. I mean, to a degree, it does become offensive after a while.
Yeah.
I mean, but initially, like, I always like to keep an open mind. Like, the majority of the world probably doesn't interact with people with disabilities. So I know it usually comes from, like, a good space of them, like, really trying not to offend. But then after a while, it's like, okay, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you're wilding out right now.
Because we were
like,
talking off camera how
Yeah.
about people like they talk to you like, hello, I am human.
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
I see
Yeah.
you,
Or-
wheelchair.
Exactly.
You know,
or they do the
like-
child thing like, oh my gosh, do you need anything? Are you okay? Do you need any help? Please
So when you're just-
let me know. I'm
When
like,
you're just rolling
"Bruh."
around, people are like, hey, can I get you anything?
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
you don't take
all the
advantage of
time.
that? Like, I need
I
a
would
number
just-
three.
Well, I was gonna say I would play up on that. Like if somebody was being dumb like that, I would throw it back on them or make them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
even then, you probably get tired of doing that.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, I definitely take advantage of it. Like when it's time to go to the club or it's time to go to like a concert or something like that. It's just like, yo, we're getting straight to the front because why should I have to wait? Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know what I mean? But in other cases, it does kind of like become annoying. Like I'll just be at like the grocery store or something like that, and I'm looking at something that's eye level, and they're like, "Do you need me to grab anything?" I'm like, "No, like I'm right here. This is where I live. Like this is my space. Now, if you see me doing this, then okay.
Yeah.
But like,
So is that how you grocery shop? Like, boy, that top shelf stuff is lit today, but hey, I'm
Yeah.
all alone.
well, in some cases, I'd be like, "Is it worth it?"
Is
And
it?
then I'm like, nah, if it's not worth it, then I'll keep pushing. But then I'm like, no, I need that essential water. Somebody come over here, help grab that 6-pack because I need that alkaline water.
Dude, I get that people not in wheelchairs ask me I live in
because you're
Hawthorne
tall?
at Ralph's. Yeah, who's like, baby, could you get that up on the? I was like,
Was that an
"Yes,
old
ma'am."
black woman?
Why would it be an old black woman?
That's how they talk.
definitely
Baby,
how
could you
old black
go
What do you
ahead
mean
and
they
grab
talk?
it? Old black woman.
that's what-
It doesn't work for me.
I know. I'm used to guilting
Black
my white
women.
friends. I'm like, what do you mean they? And they're like, whoa,
I mean,
dude.
the
that's
blacks. That's what I mean. The blacks.
That definitely came out like an old black woman because I heard an old black woman. You said, "Oh, baby, can you please?"
So I noticed when
Please.
you pulled up to the house, you were in an Uber.
Yes.
So I saw like some Ubers have like, is it Uber Access or?
Yeah.
So how does that work?
So there's Uber Assist.
Uber Assist.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that
So
was the
Uber
word.
Assist is technically people with like the average size car
Mm-hmm.
who are willing to help people with disabilities, whether it's a cane or a walker, or maybe they're blind or they have a service animal. Then there's Uber Wave. Uber
Okay.
Wave, and that's for people who have actual wheelchair accessible vans.
Got
Now,
it.
out here in LA, because Uber is based upon like where your current location is at,
Mm-hmm.
you have to hope that either Wave or Assist is in your area.
Got it.
So Wave is very few and far between. So I don't even like bother with that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So usually I either do Lyft or Uber Assist, where I kind of just call ahead of time and just say, hey, I have a wheelchair. It's about 50 pounds. Can you lift that and put that in your car? Most people say it's cool. A lot of people was like, well, I'm not sure if it's going to fit. And it's like, well, that wasn't the question. But okay. Some people just straight up say no. I've had it where someone pulled up and then like drove off.
Dang.
I've had
Oh,
it
they're
like,
oh,
they was like, oh no,
nope.
bro, this isn't my life. And it was like, okay, well, I mean,
Really?
yeah.
Oh,
That like dead
snap.
ass serious. Like it's happened more than once.
So is your Uber wait time longer than the average person because there's only certain cars you can wait for?
When you use Uber Assist, yes, it is usually about like 10, 15 minutes versus like the 1 to 5 minutes that like the average Uber takes.
Yeah.
But what I actually enjoy is using Lyft. Lyft is, on time,
You
1
like
to
Lyft
5
better than
minutes.
Uber?
I do, honestly, because I had so many bad kind of situations with Uber Assist that I was like, it's not even worth it.
Right.
You
Okay.
know?
Now,
So I just use Lyft.
Backing up a little bit when we're saying like, and you said it too though, you're like somebody with a disability. Are there certain terms that I have a feeling you're kind of like, I don't give a rat's, but
Right.
are there certain terms that you prefer or some that you're just like, that's kind of a corny term, like, there's handy capable, people
Right.
say, or handicap
Or differently abled is another one.
Are any of those that you prefer or you don't care, or there's some that bother you?
Usually I don't care. I mean, I think all of those terms are like pretty cool because again, like I get where people's intentions are behind that. The only one is some people aren't offended by it, but I kind of cringe when I hear it. I don't like being called crippled.
People still say crippled?
Yeah, some people say
What
crippled.
if you're in a gang?
I don't even think the Crips say crippled anymore.
Right, I was going to say, I don't think they say that. But no, I mean, there are some people out there who aren't offended by it. They actually like own it as their
crippled?
word. Yeah, they own cripple as their word. There's some people who don't like disabled, but I don't mind disabled. So
there's no like universal, everybody's okay with this word.
essentially there really isn't. I mean, as long as it's not done with like ill intention behind it, I think for the most part everyone is kind of okay with it. My personal thing is I just don't like cripple because it just doesn't sit right with me for some reason. Yeah.
I remember talking about old terms when I worked in the bank. This older white person was like, "Oh, you got some nice Orientals here," and I was like, "Whoa, Oriental!" Like,
were you in a rug shop?
So I was like, Oriental is either an old movie where they call it the Orient, the blue flavor of noodles, but no people are being called Orientals now. We say Asian now, but they didn't. Somebody called my wife a nice colored woman. Back in Washington,
the front door,
and she was complimenting. She was like, "Oh, you're just such a beautiful colored woman."
Yeah.
And my wife was like, she was like 90 or 90 plus. So my wife was like, "I'll let you slide."
Right.
But
I mean, my mom loved her.
But I think people like sometimes people have that word and they're just like, "All right, this is I'm not going any further than this." So here's a question I have for you.
Yeah.
Did you ever ride the city bus?
Oh, I take the city bus all the time.
So when you are at the bus stop, are people like, "Oh, I'm definitely gonna be 10 minutes late"?
Some people get pissed because they have to wait. Then there's some people that like try to rush me on the bus before the ramp comes out. Exactly. They be like, go. I'm like,
the thing has to come down.
Right, I'm like, yo, son, you gotta wait for the thing to come out, then I can roll on. And then that's when I turn into that call. And then I take my time.
Where are you from?
I'm from Northern California. I'm from Stockton.
Okay.
The thing is, it really, like, if you time it, it doesn't really take that long.
Really
it's
doesn't.
like the equivalent of maybe 6 or 7 people getting on the bus and sitting down.
Exactly.
But I think in people's minds, they're just like, "Oh, here we go."
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. Or they get mad because the driver will tell everyone else to wait first so I can get off first.
Yeah.
And they be like, "Oh, why you gotta do this?" I'm like, bro, if you don't take the back door and let me get to the front and stop tripping, it's a whole situation.
Amazing. Okay, I got some questions from the audience. JD, have any?
Oh, there's the one that everybody was asking. Let's go right to.
Let's just jump right. The most common question we got, and it was by and large.
Yeah.
What's your sex life? How do you sex? What is sex? Do you like it? Can you have it? How often? Do you do the different sexes? So tell us what it's like to have a sex life with a disability so these people can have their question answered.
So everyone can relax a bit.
Right.
So I always preface, because I talk about this a lot on my YouTube channel too, is like I always preface it to say like this is my personal experience. Everyone's body and disability.
Yeah, you might be like a freak with it. So it's just this is your experience. I mean,
this is what I like to do.
Earmuffs.
But so because I don't want to like speak for the whole community when some people can do things, some people can't.
Yeah.
I myself am I
Take your time. Take your time.
take your time, Saints. No, but I mean, I do have a sex life.
Right.
I mean, well, I should say it's on pause right now by choice.
Okay. Don't
Keywords.
trip.
Don't worry, okay? Please believe.
there's offers.
There's always somebody to call. I'm just saying. There's always somebody to call. But no, I mean, when I was actively having sex, it was just like anybody else, I would assume. You
Right.
know what I mean? I mean, of course, there's certain like positions or certain things that I wasn't able to do, or
Right.
I couldn't last long enough in that certain position because, you know, certain hip pain or whatever the case is. But for the most part, sex is just like a regular situation.
Okay, that you say
See, you know what I want to do is I want to ask.
big white dude? Oh, sorry.
You know what and I actually thought about this for my own channel, but
Yeah.
actually bringing somebody I've had sex with and just interviewing him and asking him like, okay, like what was going through your mind?
Right.
Like because why are people like so obsessed with this idea of people with disabilities like having sex?
You're still a sexual being. You're still a human with the same urges.
Exactly.
I think people. I don't know what people think, but I think honestly, if I'm being completely honest, we had when I was in college, there was a person in a wheelchair, and I was
Yeah.
just like, "How would sex? Please tell us." All. You know what I mean? So I think there's a certain, and that's one of the main reasons we do this show, is
Yeah.
so people can ask without like shame. But I
Yeah.
think you just don't have an opportunity to interact with people
Right.
on a daily basis, so you have no idea.
Right.
So I mean, it's hard enough to understand how sex happens just with regular.
Yeah.
Is that bad to say regular?
that can be considered offensive.
Okay,
And I'm not offended by it.
I can. As I said, I was like, "Wow, Kev,
Yeah.
you people, huh?" Able-bodied, I think, is the term. right?
Able-bodied is the term, yes.
So if I call regular able-bodied people,
yeah.
if I refuse to use that, is that considered ableist? Because
Yes.
ableist is like racist for people with disabilities, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It's like so ableism is basically like not being aware of basically like of your ableist ways
Of like terms and
terms
Able
of
privilege.
actions.
able privilege.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's a
seriously.
real
Crazy.
thing.
Yeah.
Seriously,
Yeah.
it's like when people get pissed about me taking too long getting on the bus. That's like an ableist thing to do because
Right.
it's just like, yo, you're physically able to get through the back door or go this way or go this way. I only have this way in and this way out.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
And I think that's something that I didn't think of. So even just to get this shot
Yeah.
happening, when you came up,
yeah.
I never noticed that my
Yeah.
front door has a step up.
Yeah.
Like I've stepped up on it, but it's never
Yeah.
been like a conscious thing
Exactly.
until you were at the front door and I was like, oh, snap.
Yeah.
And then when we came in, like the door to my little studio is too small for your chair.
Yeah.
So that's just, and I had to ask you, can you go on the carpet? Like,
Yeah.
So I think it's like, you don't even have to think about that stuff.
Exactly.
So you
Right.
don't think about that stuff. But that's
Exactly.
something you have to be like, okay, I got when I'm traveling or hotels
Right.
or all that stuff. Like
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a conscious choice you have to make on every decision. Is that
Absolutely.
Does that ever get like, man, I'm sick of all this?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does get annoying after a while because it's just like, okay, at a certain point, you're like, you guys, why is it that you've been a business, your sign says been in business for 30 years and there's still no way for me to get into your restaurant?
Right.
Like there's still like when I went to New York, like I was able to, go around the streets and then me and my mom went all the way like 3-4 blocks to get to like this juice place. And I was like amped. I was like, oh, I'm finna get this juice. It's finna be fire. And I couldn't even get in.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't get it in. I'm like, yo, it's 2018. Like somebody has to be thinking like,
Is it not
What
like
if?
like I thought with like zoning issues with
Yeah.
like don't businesses have to have like
thought that
able
was-
access
yeah, I
type
thought that-
things or like
Yeah, you
ramps
would-
and things like that?
yeah, I mean, technically, like ADA law, like that's the whole point. Like that's one of the many reasons why ADA law exists. But a lot of people, a lot of businesses still don't apply it. Like
So
even
are they like fined or something for not doing it?
yeah, like if you like complain or if you sue the business or whatever, like there's people out there who are disabled who purposefully go to different places to see if they're accessible, and if they're not, they raise hell.
Oh, we finna roll up.
Yeah.
Make sure everything
Like,
in here is ADA, or it's gonna be some sues going on.
Exactly. Like even when I went to the AMC theater in ooh, I don't know if I want to throw them under the bus like that, but AMC Theater in
they don't have a-
Hollywood.
hey.
California.
Yeah, in Hollywood.
Okay.
To go see Bill Street Could Talk. And for some reason, they like blocked the main doors and was like, oh, everyone has to go through the side door. But so when we walked around to go to the side door, it was a flight of stairs. And it was just like, so why is your extra like way to get inside not accessible? So then my friend had to go in there, tell somebody, then they came out and then told me to go through this other way to get in. And it's just like, why don't you just have everybody else come through the other way so everyone could go in and nobody has to be bothered or inconvenienced?
I think that's so like interesting that
Yeah.
there's so much that I don't even know if it's fair to say people don't care.
Yeah.
But I think people don't think about it. So
They
they
don't.
don't even like, it's like my house, for example. I
Yeah.
never, had you not come here today, I probably
Yeah.
could have lived here
Dude,
for 10,
it-
15 years and
Yeah.
would have never even crossed my mind.
It's like
Yeah.
the white privilege thing.
yeah.
I mean, like,
You
seriously.
live the whole
Yeah.
life just being like, I'm white in America.
Yeah.
Do.
Free meals, you know,
Yeah.
all that stuff we get. No, two things. One thing I think that's interesting is you said they told you to go around to the other door, and you said, so we walked over there. So
Yeah.
when you're moving in your chair, you just say I'm walking.
Yeah.
Because that's your version of walking.
Yeah, technically, I mean, well, also because too, I didn't start using a wheelchair until I moved out here to LA when I was 19. So there was a huge chunk of my life where I was able to walk around. So I think for me, I still have kind of like
A walker's mentality.
yeah, like almost like a little bit of both worlds, like in my brain kind of thing. But I use walk. Other people who like my other friends who are wheelchair users, you know, they say walk too. It's just kind of like a thing that kind of happens.
So
I don't
No,
know
well,
what
hold
the
on.
essence of it.
I was
Okay.
because you probably about to ask what I was just about to ask.
What?
You mentioned earlier when you're talking about having sex in certain positions, and then your hip starts hurting. So
Yeah.
that made me think. I was going to say let's back up and then talk about. So were you born where you had to use a wheelchair, or how did what happened exactly? How did you end up where you're now in a wheelchair?
So when I was 14, I was diagnosed with ALS.
Okay.
Lou Gehrig's disease.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of football players have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of athletes end up getting it. They say there's no cause, no cure, but I don't personally. I think it's a bunch of. But anyways,
Right.
Sorry, Zay. But so I was diagnosed with ALS when I was 14. So then upon my diagnosis and my body started to change. And for those who don't know, it's a neuromuscular disease that affects your muscles. So it makes your muscle mass and your muscle strength weaken over time.
Okay.
So, for instance, like my right arm is like completely limp. Most people don't notice it because I've been able to like I can't lift it. I can't curl it on my own. But if I go like this, real smooth, then people will
I was
know.
just
and
gonna
they're like,
say smooth.
"Oh."
I wouldn't have
Yeah.
even noticed that. If you didn't call it out,
Like she
I
did that, yeah, right there, real quick.
Yeah.
As she's
and I've
explaining,
known
I'm
you
like,
for a while. And
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think I would have never got that if you didn't
But-
just do it right now.
Right, but that's kind of the thing. Like, you know, when you have a disability, you kind of just naturally adapt to things and make your life easier, you know, as time goes on. So in high school, I used leg braces, and then when it was time to go to college, I was like, yo, college campuses are like way bigger than my high school campus, so I need to get to class, and I need to get to class on time. Like, let
Right.
me just start using an electric wheelchair, because physically I'm unable to use a manual wheelchair because my arms aren't
Right.
strong enough
Right,
to
right.
push the wheels. So I started using an electric wheelchair and been using it ever since.
You've always had a dope chair though. Like
Thank
every time I
you.
see you, you got like the iPhone 10 of wheelchairs. I'm like,
I do.
Yeah, it
I have
has
a whole
like.
fleet at the house.
and
Do you?
Yeah, I really do.
now
Let me pull out the Batmobile
Yeah.
because I'm going out tonight. So let me get the all black matte with the rims.
Yeah.
You feel
Exactly.
me?
Yeah,
Cell phone
It's not a game. It's not a
other
game.
people in wheelchairs. They're like, oh, she thinks she's fancy. Aren't you hoity-toity?
Oh, this bitch thinks she cute.
Yeah,
huh?
Or they're like iPhone Android of wheelchairs. And you're just like, oh, what is that?
Yeah.
XJ4000. Get with the times. We got the 9 over here.
You got an
feel me?
Android wheelchair. Boo.
I got the XS wide body.
You got the green wheels.
You feel me? 16-inch seat. Holla at me. You feel me?
hydraulics.
All of that.
Oh, man.
For sure.
So that somebody asked. So okay, so help us understand. You have feeling in your whole body.
Yes, I can feel. See, because my particular disability is with my muscle mass and my muscle strength. So it's not paralysis. Paralysis
Right.
is
Right.
more so where you're unable to feel, so in many cases, unable to actually move. For me, it's just more so, I kind of look at it like, as you get older, your body weakens over time.
Right.
It's
no matter
almost like,
what.
Exactly. So it's almost like, I mean, it
Yours
doesn't
just
look like I'm a
happening faster.
90-year-old woman's body, but my body feels like maybe what a 90-year-old woman's body would feel
Got it.
like. Like
so
just
so mentally, how is that to like be mentally strong and vibrant and funny and feel like your body is not like equally as strong? Is that frustrating to be in that situation?
yeah. I mean, it definitely can be certain situations. Definitely can be frustrating. Like just this morning, I freaking fell and I was just like, damn it. And I'm just like, and I just sat there for like a good 20 minutes and I had to plot like, okay, how am I going to get back up?
Do you
'Cause
live alone?
I do live alone. Yeah.
So what was that? Was that like? Did you know you could get back up and you were just frustrated, or you were
Yeah.
just like, oh my, like I don't know how I'm gonna get back up?
A little bit of both. Like
Okay.
I knew I could get back up, but I didn't know exactly how based on exactly where I fell in my apartment. Because I was like on the side of my couch. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have to like crawl around to the other side of the couch. I'm going to have to boost myself up on the seat, then bring my coffee table over and then like push myself up on the coffee table.
Right.
And then be able to stand back up on my feet and then walk around my apartment. Because I do still have the ability to walk around and stand a bit,
Right.
but only like around my apartment or short
Right.
distances.
Okay.
Also,
Yeah.
when you were diagnosed with ALS,
Yes.
my buddy's dad has ALS also. So when you were first, you said you were how old?
14.
Goodness, I can't imagine like you have enough stuff you're dealing with at 14.
Yeah.
Right.
School, puberty, all that stuff, and then to go through that too. So how, like, did you have a period where you're like, okay, I'm gonna feel sorry for myself for this amount of time, or whatever,
Yeah.
or how did you handle that?
And
Like,
then I got to get after it.
yeah, like at 14, I can't even imagine, dude.
Right.
Yeah, you know what's actually interesting, because I had never heard of ALS. Nobody in my family had, like, I'm the only person with a disability in my family. And nobody was disabled in my family. Nobody had ALS. I've never heard of it before in my life. I honestly didn't even have a reaction to it because I didn't know
What was
anything
happening in
about
your
it.
body that made you go to the doctor where you're like, man, something's wrong?
So it started off with my right arm.
Okay.
So it was the furthest memory that I have is my mom calling us in the kitchen, telling us to make our plate for dinner. And so I remember going into the kitchen and reaching up in the cupboard to grab a plate, and I knew I gripped it. But then when I gripped it and pulled it out the cupboard, my whole arm dropped to the counter.
Whoa.
And but the plate was still in my hand. So I was like, I didn't drop the plate.
Right.
But like,
It's way
how did
too
my arm
heavy,
just
right?
do that?
Yeah.
Right.
Like it was really just weird because it
Yeah.
came out of nowhere. And then it was like doctor's appointment.
So was that like from then? Was it like immediate after that, or it was like that was like a one-off thing, and then you got your strength back?
You know what? To be completely honest, I can't remember. All I
Okay.
remember in my head was like that happened, and I was like at doctor's offices.
And then you just kept going.
And then
going
just
and
kept
going.
going and going until they finally diagnosed me with ALS. But then recently, I actually been told by plenty of doctors and nurses, they was like, because I'm 31 now, and the average life expectancy for someone with ALS is 5 to 7 years upon diagnosis.
Come on, God, huh?
You see what I'm saying?
Ah,
You see what I'm saying?
They tried to take her out of there, but she said, "I believe I'll roll out."
Hey man, it's not a game.
You know that's funny because a lot of people ask, "Do Christians try to heal you all the time?"
Absolutely, all the time.
Are the preachers just like, "Oh snap"?
And like
I'm
honestly,
finna heal.
that's why I like be nervous going to church.
Really?
Like if I go to church, like I want to sit in the back.
Because you don't want.
I don't want the attention. Because for me, I look at it like, why am I the one that everyone feels like needs healing? That's honestly like
that's-
how I look
That's
at
great.
it.
That is.
Like-
and do you think it's because they can see your disability?
I think that's exactly
Yeah.
why.
Because there's a lot of people in church with all
They're-
type of
yeah.
ailments, but it's like, but wheelchair.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like you can't see a person's alcoholism, most likely.
Right.
Or any internal disease
Yeah,
they can have,
yeah.
Or
bad liver,
financial, or
migraines.
anything.
But
Yeah.
and this is just my curiosity.
Yeah.
Do you think people try to heal you so they could be like, bro, somebody was in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Your boy healed
Yeah.
her. She was walking.
Right,
Do you
exactly.
think it's that?
I think I think that's possible.
Yeah.
You know, I don't ever want to like judge or assume that was somebody's intention. I think, like I said, I always like to go into it thinking that someone has a good intention.
Right.
Of wanting to do kind of like the right thing. But I think it's a little bit of that, but I think it's also because I have a visible, what they call a visible disability.
Got it.
Because there are invisible disabilities as well. So because I have a visible one, I think people just automatically assume like she needs healing when it's like, yo, I'm good. Like,
Right.
my braid is right. My place is right. Like, I get around where I need to get around. Like, I travel. Like, I'm
So
good.
would you say you've accepted your, like, I don't know, your place in life? I don't know the right term, but have
Yeah,
you
yeah.
accepted where you are in life and you're not like, are you, do you ever wish for healing or wish you could be able to walk? Or is it easier to be like, all right, this is my life now. Let me just figure out how to move in this world.
To be completely honest, like I kind of struggle with answering that question because I am really content with where I'm at right now. And I do feel like if I didn't have my disability, that my purpose in life wouldn't be what it is. And so,
Interesting, yeah.
so I feel like, okay, well, like if this is what God wants me to do, then if I didn't have a disability or I wanted something otherwise, then I'm going against what my purpose is in life. And so who
Wow.
am I to make that decision or want otherwise?
That's a fantastic point. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
Where you like, because there's gonna be like a little girl who finds out at 14 that
Right.
she has a disability, whatever. Maybe she's gonna be confined to a wheelchair, and she's
Right.
gonna go on YouTube, maybe researching it, and she sees
Right.
your channel. She's like, yo, like Lolo's out here living life. You know, she's
Exactly.
lit. Like you're a model. Like you're
Yeah.
gonna be in one of my modeling campaigns.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, the guy with the shirt you just pulled up. If you have time, I'd love to get you together with him.
Yeah,
Throw the shirt on,
definitely.
kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah, hey,
but
I'm
like
here.
you were acting, you were funny. Like
Yeah.
you know, like even at ADD, it was like once you came in, it was like, yo, Lolo is chill. Like
Right,
she's
right,
cool.
right.
So it wasn't like, oh, Lolo in the wheelchair is this, you know, is
Right.
this. It was like, yo, this is just Lolo, you know. So I think that's very interesting to think of. Like without you, that little girl looks and she doesn't see anybody like
Doesn't
her
understand, yeah.
Exactly.
who has the confidence to go ahead and live a full life, even with a
Exactly.
disability.
Exactly. And I get those messages all the time
Oh,
from
that's
like
awesome.
teenagers, you know, young adults, mothers, fathers, like I get like all the time. Like if you go through my DM, you would probably just start shedding all the tears. Because,
Really?
like, people really reach out all the time. Like, you know, I've had mothers reach out to me like, oh, my daughter has a disability and she found your channel and she told me about you and you just encouraged her so much to just like live her life
Yeah.
and like go to football games now and
That's
do
dope.
this and do that. And I've had, you know, young adult girls who are like, hey, Lolo, like I'm not feeling my most confident self. Like, can you please give me some tips? Like
Right.
people at school are bothering me and like that kind of thing. And I'm always like sending messages or replying to those messages. So I get that kind of stuff all the time.
Does that put any pressure on you to be like, man, I gotta, but maybe I don't feel like it today. But
Yeah.
you know somebody's looking for you for inspiration, or you're just like, dang.
Yeah, no, it definitely does put the pressure because I have my moments as a human being as well where I'm like, yo, I don't feel like dealing with this right now.
Right.
Or sometimes people kind of take their messages too far. Like if I respond, then they keep sending another message to get me to return.
I know about that. I try to respond to people and they're just like, one time this dude was like, man, you're so nice. Can I come live at your house? I was like,
Yeah.
what? Yes.
yeah, no, I
Dead
had
serious was
yeah.
like, I'm going through some rough times. Can I move in with you?
Yeah.
I was like, I have small children. I ain't even got, and this was like before I was even big. Like,
Right.
bro, I got a 2-bedroom house.
You're like, Big
Right.
Irish J takes up 2 beds. I was curious.
It's all of that.
Do you ever when like I assume you hang out with able-bodied people and
Yes.
and disabled people. When you're hanging out with other disabled people, is there ever like a topper mentality in the sense of like, oh, you have ALS? Well, you know, I got, you know, this. Like they were
Well,
trying
let me
to
tell
like,
you about me.
Yeah.
Let me tell you
My
how to
leg
say
fell
what
off.
I am.
Yeah.
You know? No, actually.
Okay.
Let me tell you how to say what I
Yeah,
am.
yeah. Like
Boy.
toppers. You know how like
Yeah,
comics, you'd be like,
absolutely.
oh, I did this 300 seater. You'd be like, oh, well, you know, I did this 1,000-seater. You know,
Right.
I'm wondering if there was like, you ever get that where like people are trying to like one up, be like, oh, I mean, ALS is, you know, maybe, but I got.
Right. but you don't know nothing about this.
Paralyzed
illness.
from the neck
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Holla at me.
exactly.
So you don't have that.
No, I mean, out of my group of friends, no. I mean, I definitely know people who only kick it with other people with disabilities because they feel like they're understood better in those groups of
Yeah,
people.
I can see that.
But myself, I have my main group of friends, and I'm the only one with the disability.
Oh, okay.
But then I also have like my group of friends who also have disabilities. So
So you got 2 different group chats.
yeah.
lot of-
literally, I really do.
A lot of us do. So here's a lot. I mean, this is one question, but it got a lot of this. Like,
Yeah.
how can people who are not, or people who are able-bodied be more
Yeah.
sensitive to people who are disabled or in wheelchairs specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is to just always remember that we're people first.
Right.
So just always approach it like you would approaching somebody else at a party or
Right.
approaching somebody else at an event or the grocery store or at work. Like just talk to us naturally.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you're not going into it already thinking like you have to be perfect in a sense
Yeah.
or you have to approach it in a perfect way, then I think, that you should be fine.
That's good. I think a lot of times, especially with PC culture, I think people,
Yes.
Big Irish J has a great joke about that. Like
Yeah.
people try so hard to be politically correct that it is offensive.
Yeah.
And I think when we met, I was just like, I don't know how to do that as well. Like, I don't want to be mean,
Right.
but you were like, let me be on Roast Me. And I was like, I don't know if you want to do that. Like, let's start off with Inside the Office. But then we pitched the
Right.
idea to you, and it was
Yeah.
like both a video about, how to work with people, or not work, but like how to converse with people with disabilities.
Yeah.
But you also weren't tripping about any jokes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, you were like,
Yeah.
I get it. So you had that mentality where it's cool. Like, don't trip. Even with these
Absolutely.
questions, you were like, any question is fine. Like, I'm not
Exactly.
tripping. So did you have this mind? Do you feel like your mindset prior to your disability was the same, or you developed this mindset to cope with your disability?
That's a great
That was a
question.
great question.
Look at you. I'm impressed.
As it came out, I was like,
Impressive.
wow,
I'm
Kev.
like, who has taken over Kevin's
That's
soul?
impressive.
I was like, okay.
And you got it out smooth.
And
Didn't
it came
stutter.
out.
I was like, what?
Once the last word left my tongue, I was like, I didn't mess that at all.
Come on,
I
Oprah.
felt very Oprah. So, Lolo, tell me,
Yeah. Oh.
did you always have this personality, or did you develop it to cope?
You know what? I've always had like a really bubbly, like off the chain personality. Like
Yeah.
my entire family, all we do is roast each other.
Right,
like,
right,
and
right.
that's been since day one.
Yeah.
So that's why when roast me, I was like, oh hell yeah, like I'm with it. you
Right,
know?
right.
But like we've always roasted each other. We always had like great senses of humor and always joked. And my family's always joked about me and friends and stuff like that. We've always roasted each other, so that was always kind of like a normal thing. But I guess you can say, use humor or just this ability of like not really caring to make life just kind of easier to go about, because
Right.
I don't have like an angry spirit or an angry energy.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to start using that because everyone else got a problem or everyone else doesn't know, what to do or what to say. Like,
Right.
For me, I just look at it like, I just got to be the person that educates when I can.
Right.
And then, let it happen that way.
So to follow up, you talked about how your family you roast back and forth. How
Yeah.
was your family's reaction to your disease and disability? Or it's fair to say disease, right? Like
Yeah, you can say disease.
Okay, so
Gosh,
how
I
was
wish you would have totally been like, "Whoa, dude!" Like, because we don't know. So if you meet,
You
if
can
you-
say anything
Yeah,
was
if he
wrong,
said
I'd be like,
disease,
oh, so you're calling me Lolo? I thought that was your name.
Yeah.
You said I've
You're
said
like-
it 3 times.
You're like, this is your wheelchair. Whoa, dude.
Wheelchair,
What?
whoa.
Dude, that's not the.
Calm it down.
Yeah, you can call us on anything, and we have no
Bring
idea.
it back down to
No
a 2,
idea.
please.
They're like, do you want some money? I'm so sorry. I don't want to get canceled on Twitter. But how was your family's response, and how did that play a role in your life moving forward?
I feel like now you got the Oprah posture.
I
Yeah,
did.
you totally
that
do.
question's all in my head. I feel like this show is going to the next.
Oh,
I
no.
might text this to Oprah.
As you should. Like,
tweet
please,
it.
let's
Like,
all
listen,
get on OWN.
Pick this up for OWN.
Yeah.
Me,
Just saying.
I'm talking like you, so I mean, leave it if you want, but.
I'm
By
just
the
saying,
way,
I'll be
you
your first
get a new
guest again.
wheelchair. You get a wheelchair. Everybody gets.
Everyone gets a wheelchair, which is mad bread, by the way. But my family's reaction, nobody ever treated me differently.
Yeah.
After like the family found out. I remember my mom, because I don't know about y'all families, but my family always has this like family meeting, and it's everyone that's like 35 and up gets to like be in these meetings and talk about whatever the hell they're talking about. And so I remember we had a family meeting, and it was like, okay, well, I'll say my real name, but Lauren, you go stay outside. And so it was just like, well, damn, why I gotta be the only one outside? Like, so I'm just like in the front lawn, just chilling while they're having a family meeting. But I knew
about you.
Yeah.
You didn't get in the family meeting.
I didn't. I
Black
still
folks
wasn't
don't
over
care
there.
about no grown folk. You 14, go outside. It's
Exactly.
about me. Go outside.
Go outside.
You're going to need a wheelchair today. Keep on.
Exactly. But I remember just.
I love that your parents did not.
Yeah.
What I say,
Did not
girl?
care. Did not
you
care.
14, you want to see 15?
Mom, it's about me.
I don't
Yeah,
care.
it is.
Right. Exactly.
Get outside.
Get outside. No, it literally was that. And I remember them having a family meeting. And then the reason why I remember is because when I went back in the house, everyone was looking at me. And I'm like, yo, son, like you guys are like not even trying to like make it unobvious. But then from there, like it was completely fine.
Yeah.
Like there was no difference. It everyone kind of like adapted as well, like just as much as I had to adapt as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was
Now,
dope.
are you able to like work?
Yes.
Okay. All
Yes.
right.
You work at the mall, right?
No. I actually.
I just saw you at the mall.
Yeah, you just saw me.
Okay,
at
I
the
thought you were
mall,
saying you were. Oh, maybe you're saying you were on your way to work or from work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You caught me on my lunch break.
Okay, that's why I assumed you were at the mall.
Yeah.
Okay. I worked at the mall.
But I do have a job. I'm the digital marketing manager for an online streaming service. I don't ever say like the company's name because corporate. There's that whole kind of
I
thing.
was. If you said it, would have been edited out anyway.
Oh, okay,
all
cool.
right, we'll take it out in post.
Appreciate it. But yeah, so that's what I do full time, and then on the side is all of my YouTube acting.
How long have
modeling,
you been at that job?
I've been there for 5 years.
All right.
Now, getting a job isn't easy.
I was gonna ask
Yeah.
you like.
Yeah.
So I imagine. So there's ADA stuff with building stuff. So
Yes.
is there ADA stuff with employment where they can't discriminate against you because of your physical condition?
Right. So they are not. They say you're not supposed to discriminate, but they've always.
I know
found,
people will find. They won't say it's your
And you're black.
disability.
Right, and a woman.
And a woman.
Double, yeah.
So when you come up, they're
Triple.
just like, nope.
Triple threat.
No, this ain't it. If I was gay, then I'd be the next level. It would be
You might
like
get a promotion.
right,
You're gay.
exactly.
You might
It'd
be
be-
self-employed.
It'd be all of those things. But yeah, so it's definitely super difficult getting a job.
Why, so what do you think it is?
I think it's a certain level of just the job opportunities.
Right.
I mean, because I thought about, okay, what could I actually do?
Yeah.
And most of the stuff was desk jobs, like sitting behind the desk, being a receptionist of some kind maybe, or anything of that nature, because I couldn't be a waitress. I couldn't be a cashier. I couldn't.
So is that legally, or like legally can they say you can't be a waitress because you're in a wheelchair?
I would love if
No.
you like went to like a construction site, be like, yeah, I want the job. And they're like, but you're like, oh, are you discriminating
Right.
against
Oh, I would love
lawyer?
to do
Come
that.
on in.
I would love to do
Get
that.
paid.
That part. But no, I think for me, I just naturally kind of weeded out all the things because I
Right.
knew what I was physically capable of
Self-filtered it.
doing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
because then you ask, they're like, okay, we're hired. Now take this plate. You're just like, hey guys.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe
exactly.
maybe
Because I
you
don't
should-
want it. Right.
Why would you even hire me? What are you doing?
Exactly. So I definitely didn't want to put myself in those
Got
kind
it.
of positions
Got
either.
it.
But it is definitely difficult because there's also this other level of like, and this is like a whole other discussion, but I'll briefly touch on it, of SSI, which is government aid for
Yeah.
people with disabilities.
Oh, is that, wait. Oh, yes,
Social
yes,
Security
yes. Social
insurance.
Security
Social
insurance.
Security, yes.
Yeah, when
exactly.
I worked at the bank, a lot of people's SSI checks. But I
Right.
thought that was just Social Security after you like retire.
Well, no. So SSI, you can also qualify if you have a disability.
Got
but
it.
see, the cool part about SSI is like they only give you a certain amount based on your employment history. So for me,
So you had to work previous. So you're basically getting to what you paid into because you're like paying to SSI with your taxes. Is that how it works?
I don't know exactly that piece of
Okay.
it, but I know that because I used to get frustrated because I'd be like, yo, like I live in LA, like I need more money. And they'd be
Right,
like,
right.
well, have you ever worked? And it's just like, no, because I was diagnosed when I was 14. I didn't
Got
get a
it.
job.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh, well, the only way you could get more money is if you had some level of employment history. And I'm like,
So
well,
it's a catch-22
Yeah.
of like, how do you get experience without getting a job? Like, it's that type of thing.
Exactly. And then you can only have up to $2,000 a month at a time. You can't make any more than $2,000 a month.
From SSI or from your job?
Just period. Like
Really?
you literally cannot have more than $2,000 in your account at one time, or else they'll start taking your SSI away. There's
what?
like levels to it. Yeah.
So that's got to be very limiting for you to be like, I can't even ball out, or they're going to take my. So if you get a
Exactly.
good job, can you not have SSI?
Exactly.
So if they're like, hey, we want to give you a promotion, you'd be like, I'm cool.
Right. If you want to
That's
keep
crazy.
the SSI. So that's why I ended up having to get employment, because I was like, yo, I'm not going to be able to live off of $2,000 a month in LA. Like, it's just not going to happen.
You'll be lucky if you could use that to pay towards your rent.
Exactly.
Right. Not to
Exactly.
And you
mention
mentioned
everything
how
else.
much are wheelchairs?
Wheelchairs
Like range?
alone. So like this wheelchair specifically, I think was like $5,000.
$5,000?
I think.
And then what's
I
like
think
maintenance
so, or-
and upkeep? Like
Maintenance and upkeep. So like this joystick was broken,
okay.
and it was about, I want to say $200 to $300 to fix. Out of pocket, because
So
it
there's
wasn't
probably
covered
not
through
that many
insurance.
companies that do that, so they can probably set the price
Probably.
on that for whatever they like. What you gonna do? Take it to a mechanic?
Exactly.
Yeah,
know what I mean?
probably. And like the other wheelchair that I use like every day, like going up and down the street to my job and on the bus and all, that one's like the really big, that's the big chair. And there was a piece that broke off of that chair that made it inoperable, and the average wait time to get it fixed is 6 to 8 weeks.
So what if that was your only chair?
Are you waiting
Exactly.
6 to 8 weeks?
You're waiting
Oh,
6 to 8 weeks.
man.
Yeah. And then
That
and then
is-
you have to constantly follow up with the people, like, did you put in the paperwork? Did you do this? Did you do that? Because there was one time years ago where my chair was inoperable, and I called and was like, hey, I just trying to get an ETA, like, when is the part coming, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, I just realized the paperwork is still on my desk.
Oh.
I'm like, yo, it's been 2 weeks.
I'm gonna fight you.
I
I'm a
rolled
fight.
up
You're like,
on
I
some
will
people before.
crawl down there.
I for sure,
And I will
I for
murder
sure
you.
rolled up
that,
on
like,
some people before.
I always have this thought, like, the highest thing in your life is the smallest thing on somebody else's life.
Correct.
So where your chair gets fixed is not important to her.
Yeah.
But you literally, like, I can't get
Yeah.
to work. I can't
Yeah.
get around. I need you to fix my chair.
Exactly.
You can't just leave it on your desk.
Exactly.
And that's probably able privilege
That's exactly what
for her to be like, okay, just take your time. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
exactly what that is.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is it wrong to apologize?
Well,
How's that Abel guilt feel? He's white. Now you know the white
I
guilt.
never, as a black man, it's hardly. All we ever have is male privilege. But
Right.
able privilege is like,
it's a whole nother level.
I think it's a whole nother level.
Oh,
yeah.
Because the thing about privilege that there's a lot of white people don't understand about white privilege, what we're saying.
Yeah.
It's not that you are mean and racist. It's
Right.
that there's things in your life that you're not aware are easier for you.
Exactly.
That's all white. That's all privilege is.
Yeah.
And there's male privilege, there's white privilege, there's able privilege. It just means
Yeah.
there's things you don't have to think about that somebody else can't go a day without thinking about. I was talking about this in the video today. I was talking about R. Kelly, totally different conversation. But I was talking about how women have to often think about their surroundings, who's behind them.
Absolutely.
It's dark, who's around me. You know, I gotta call somebody if I feel safe. And I
Absolutely.
asked my wife that because it was going around on Twitter, like, men ask your girlfriends, your sisters, and aunts
Yeah.
how often they have to do that.
yeah.
And I realized as a man, I never have to think about, am I personally safe?
Yeah.
Like if somebody's jumping out the bushes, I'm not thinking about that because
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
I could fight or
Come
whatever.
live with
Like,
me down at Hawthorne.
but as a man, that's something that's not in my. And I think that the only way we can make the world more equal for everybody is to realize when people who aren't privileged in that way speak
Right.
out about something,
Exactly.
that we make a difference, even though it doesn't affect us. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Like we at least
Exactly.
think about it or try to accommodate people who are saying, "Yo, this ain't right for people like us."
Right.
You know
exactly. And even to that point, like that's another level. Like not only thinking about me as a woman, but me as a disabled woman,
Right.
and having to protect myself when I'm out and about somewhere,
Right.
or going to a party or going to some type of situation. Like whenever we go somewhere, like me and my friends, we have to call the place in advance. Like, is your place wheelchair accessible?
Yeah.
Who's gonna be there? Is there too many guys? Like,
Right,
are
right.
these dudes creeps? Like, we just gotta ask these kinds of questions.
Are the men creeps at your restaurant?
I'm just saying.
I would say yes.
When you go to functions, you have to think about like who's
Yeah.
really inviting you.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a whole situation.
Yeah.
I want to ask this one question because I think it's so interesting. We mentioned it before we started recording.
Yeah.
Do you ever walk in your dreams?
You know what? When I saw that question, I had never thought about it before until I saw the question. And yes, I do.
So when you wake up, are you like, oh?
Am I disappointed?
Because in my dreams, I can fight. And in real life, I cannot. So my dreams, I'm just, like a lot of my dreams are about beating people up. I don't know. And not be socking people. So when I wake up, I'm just like, so when I wake up, I'm just like, oh, man.
Damn it, man.
So is it frustrating to wake up and you're just like, dang.
No, it's not frustrating, but no, but in my dreams, it's really strange. But in my dreams, I dance a lot,
Do you?
like Chris Brown, like
Harlem
holla at
Shaking?
me, holla at me, Chris. Like we finna toe to toe. Like
just
what's
groping
good?
in her
You
dream?
feel me? Like what's good? Like it's
That's
the weirdest thing.
interesting.
Yeah.
But I dance my ass off in my dreams. But then like
Interesting.
in real life, it's like
I'm thin in my dreams.
not so much.
You're thin? You're just looking in the
Then I
mirror.
wake up and I'm like, dang it.
Here we
They
are
wouldn't
again.
be dreams if they weren't hard to attain. I'd be
I'm saying?
socking people.
See what I'm saying? And I twerk like nobody's business. So it's not a game.
So Cash Money for the records taking over the 99 and 2000.
In
In your
2000,
dreams,
yes,
you're like,
absolutely. I'm like,
yes.
It's not a game. It's not a game. It's real.
So here's an interesting question that
Yeah.
we got a lot of versions of. What's your Tinder like? Do you think it's a fetish or genuine?
Woo. Well, there is an actual term for people who have fetishes.
Really?
For people with disabilities.
What
Yes.
is it called?
So it is I think it's pronounced devotee. So
Okay.
if you're a devotee, you literally have a fetish, or is
devotee or
it
devotee?
devotee?
I
or
honestly don't know. I'm
devotee?
not
Okay.
smart.
I've never heard
So
of this.
I'll
We'll take whatever pronunciation you give.
Yeah.
Okay, well, don't trust me, people. But it's devotee or devotee, whatever. But those are people who actually have fetishes for people with disabilities because they get turned on by our inability to move on our own.
Huh.
Very strange.
Is it like a weird power dynamic thing?
I think
That you have to depend on them a little bit, or
Yeah, there's kind of like that kind of situation going on. I have never encountered, at least not to my knowledge, a devotee, thank God.
That sounds very nefarious.
It's very, it feels just creepy. It's
Yeah.
like really weird.
Yeah,
It's
I
very
imagine.
strange.
I
And I
imagine.
don't want to judge people's thing because whatever you're
I
into.
think that's a fair judgment, though. Like, I know you said a lot today. I don't want to judge, but those people should be. I think I think they should be judged. I think you'd be okay. I think they'd be okay being judged.
But with dating life and using dating apps, because that's something I promote on my channel a lot, is for people with disabilities to go on dating apps. Because I've met a lot of great guys on dating apps, as friends. Some I've dated, some I've just slept with. It just is what it is. But
Lolo.
Well,
So they hit you back and you're just like, we good.
I'm like, I'm
You
good.
left some people on red?
Yeah, I've definitely left some.
They
I've
hit you
definitely left
back
some
and you're
people on
like,
red.
we good, fam.
Nah,
That
we
was
good, fam.
a one night
Ghosted
thing.
them.
That's
I'm
it.
good, love, enjoy.
That's it.
Walk
That's
away.
it.
Walk away.
Right, walk away. Okay, exactly. Walk away. But I mean, it's weird, and I don't know if it's just like my personal account when I have used dating apps or not. But like, dating apps is kind of like this thing where like people just like collect matches, but like dudes never say anything first.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
like really
you ever
weird.
use Bumble?
I have, and I killed on Bumble. Bumble was like my.
I know why you killed on Bumble, because I'm, like Kevin
I
knows, I'm
imagine.
saying I'm like on all the online dating things.
Yeah.
Because Bumble, it cracks me up because all the dating apps, like girls' profiles, they'll always say like, if you're gonna talk to me, have something to say other than hi. And Bumble, it's my favorite thing. If a girl matches with you, they have to initiate.
Yeah.
And girls, all they ever say is just hi. And I will never let them off the hook. I just reply back with hi. I'm like, let's see your game. What do you have to? But you have this personality, so I bet you do kill on Bumble.
Oh, I kill on Bumble. Like, because see, the thing that's annoying is about a lot of dudes on their profiles, they literally have nothing. So then when I used to match people on Bumble, I'd be like, yo, you've given a lot of material for me to start off this conversation with. Like being a
Yeah.
because it's like you have literally nothing on your profile to say.
Right.
Like, you know, so I definitely killed on Bumble. But I mean, I guess my inbox is kind of like the same as everyone else's for the
Now,
most part.
Do you two-parter, I guess. Do you present pictures of you full body so they're seeing that?
Yes.
And or well, then you pretty much answered. I was gonna say that. And or do you say in there, I'm in a wheelchair, blah blah blah.
Well, I do both.
Okay.
Because I've learned men are visual, so they're gonna see the picture first. But then a lot of times it doesn't register that it's a wheelchair that I'm in for some strange reason.
Yeah.
So then they'll
Really
still
think
be
you're
like,
Captain of Star Trek.
yeah, you know what I mean? Or they think it's like the dinner chair, and it's just like, yo, son, like this matches nobody's table set.
Right.
But they don't realize it, so they'll still ask like ridiculous questions, like, "Oh, you want to come rock climbing with me?" It's like, nigga, how? How?
You're like, I'll go rock rolling.
Why? Like, no, I'll meet you down at the bottom, bro.
climbing,
Like,
man.
no,
That
like,
is awful.
Okay, I'm gonna read this question exactly as it was presented.
okay.
Why y'all shoes be dirty?
I have a great answer for that, because people ask me that, and you actually said that
Yes.
in the Office episode.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, okay, again, I'm a person that transfers a lot. So I transfer from my wheelchair to another chair, or transfer from my chair into a car or something like that.
Yeah.
So our feet touch the ground. Okay? So naturally our shoes are going to get dirty. Sometimes that ground is like a little bit of mud, or it might be some
Right.
sewage, depending on
Right.
where we're getting in and out of.
I just realized people think you're in a wheelchair all the time.
Yeah.
Like
Like
your
you're
shoes,
in
your
bed.
shoes are not
Your
on the ground
wheelchair's
right
in the
now.
bed.
Yeah.
I don't think people think about you get
Yeah.
in and out of your chair, in and out of a car.
Exactly.
Your foot scrapes the ground as you're moving your whatever. The same way
Exactly.
regular able-bodied people's shoes get dirty
Exactly.
outside of walking.
Exactly. Or if I'm at an event, like this chair is comfortable for my feet to be on the pedal, but
Those are super clean, by the way.
thank you, appreciate that.
Dope kicks.
Thanks. But in one of my other chairs, it's not so comfortable to have my feet propped up, so I put my feet on the ground. But if I'm at an event, people are stepping on my feet, or people helping me to get out the car or something. They step on my shoes, or they,
Do you get mad just like able-bodied people? Like, come on, bro. You see these are LeBrons?
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Well, luckily I'm not like a sneakerhead, so it really
okay.
isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But it is like if somebody like stomps, I'd be like, yo, son, like you're wilding out right now.
The things
Like,
you say, I'm not. That's why I was where are you from? Because like you from New York?
no,
Yo,
I-
son, kid. Yo,
No,
son.
you know what it is? I talked to a dude from New York for years, so
He
like it just naturally.
culturally appropriated his vocabulary.
It's kind of, but he wouldn't care because
What's
he's got
the-
making up to do, so it's fine.
What's the coolest gadget on your chair?
Coolest gadget on my chair? Great question.
For your Tinder dates, you just hit a button. Your legs just go.
No, I have
What?
tilt on my other chair. On my other chair, there's a tilt feature.
Oh.
No lie. If I was able to bring it here, I would have brought that one.
Oh.
But like you press the button and the whole chair, like from this part back, will tilt backwards. Because it's meant
Nice.
to relieve pressure.
Right.
So, yeah.
you're like, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Let
I'm
me
going to
show you
relieve
what I
some
can do.
pressure, but I want some other
You see
pressure.
what I'm saying? Let me show you what I can do. I mean, I've experienced a lot of different
Yeah.
things with this chair. So
Oh,
that's
man.
all,
That's pretty dope. And,
Yeah.
and what's the best one on this one?
This one, I think, just its capability to fold and be able to be put in any size car.
Got it.
Like just the accessibility of
How
of
small
that.
does it get?
Probably about like a stroller.
Really?
Yeah. Like
Dang.
it could fold like
That
you
is
just
really
fold this
helpful.
completely in half, and then it's like really slim.
Oh, we
And then
got
you-
this question a lot.
Okay.
On the same transportation, how do you drive, or do you drive?
I don't drive. I do use public transportation predominantly, and then I use Uber, Lyft, like at certain times where like I don't want to take the bus.
People in wheelchairs drive. A
Yes, they
friend of
do.
mine, when I was a kid, a friend of mine's dad was in a wheelchair, and he had a He had a van where the gear, I think the gas was done. It was done all by hand. Because he was actually paralyzed.
Yeah.
But he was able to drive by hand. So basically, from my understanding, cars can be modified.
Yes, they can.
To make you able to be able to drive.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Like I have a friend, she's a wheelchair user as well, but she drives. So she has like the ramp that comes out the side of the van, and she kills it. I personally am too paranoid to drive, so I choose not to, which is why like I want to get my lifestyle to a level where I just have a chauffeur. That's my goal.
Do you get offended when
So
when someone offers you help without you asking? Do you get offended?
I don't get offended. It's when they just don't let it go after I said I'm good. That's when it's just like, okay,
Yeah.
you gotta relax,
Right.
because I've already said no, I'm good. Are you sure? Because I can reach it. It's cool, bro.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Like it's okay. So yeah, that's when
interesting.
it's annoying.
So this is kind of a dumb question now that we know, but somebody said, would it hurt if I cut your leg off?
Or no, if
I
if
saw
I
that
would
question,
cut
I
your
was
leg.
just like,
Isn't it just if I cut your leg?
No. Would it hurt if I cut your leg off?
Yes, it definitely would. Because I do have feelings in my legs.
Feelings. So deep.
The feeling.
I think people think everybody in wheelchairs are paralyzed.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, from what you were saying, there's a lot of reasons to use a wheelchair.
Absolutely. Like wheelchairs are ultimately mobility devices.
Right.
They're really not always just for, people who aren't able to walk completely. Like I said, I do have the ability to walk a little bit and stand, like around my apartment or short distances.
Right.
There's some people who have like chronic pain where they can like literally walk.
Right.
But at a certain point, their pain will kick in and they have to use a wheelchair just to alleviate the pain that they're actually feeling.
Yeah.
So people use wheelchairs for many different reasons, but there's like this perception that if you use a wheelchair, you're completely paralyzed and like
Helpless.
you can't feel, you're helpless, like all of these different things where it's like, that's not the case at all. Yeah.
I'm intrigued. I got an interesting question, and I might know the answer from what you said earlier, but I want to ask it anyway.
Sure.
What empowers you?
That's actually a great question, but honestly, what empowers me is my purpose ultimately. Like just coming to the realization that like what I have to say and how I've lived my life and how I've expressed myself is actually affecting other people's lives in a positive way. Like that's what ultimately empowers me, because at the end of the day, it's like ain't nobody got time to just be all mad and pissed at the world and just like hella angry. Like don't nobody even want to be around people like that. Like you feel me? So I just be like, man, I gotta push past those feelings. I mean, I have those feelings regularly, just like anybody else does, but it's about like pushing past those feelings, because now it's almost like a certain, I wouldn't say necessarily responsibility, but there's a certain thing that I know I have to accomplish while I'm here.
Got it.
I got a two-parter.
Two-parter.
Okay,
I'm
two-part-
all out of questions.
Okay, all right. This
Bam,
is
bam.
And one of them's so.
It's fine.
One is, do you mind? Does it bother you, or do you get upset if people touch your chair? Which
Yes.
I'm just thinking like common sense, like. That'd be like me saying, "Hey, Kev, would you mind if I just started touching your sweatshirt?"
Right. It's
You
your
know,
personal space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Even if you weren't in a chair, being this close to you is your personal space.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's like you said, that's like getting that close to my
Yeah.
jacket or whatever. Like, assume that you're
Let me
that
see your
close to
shoes.
someone.
Hey,
right.
Holmes.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, it definitely annoys me. There's actually like, so on the Orange Line bus, there's like two areas for wheelchair spaces. One is like a little shorter than the other one. And naturally the drivers always lift up the seats for the space that's like has like mad space.
Right.
But I'm like, no, give me to the shorter spot, because my chair isn't as big as other people's. So there's space behind me and people will always lean on it, or they'll touch it, or like brace onto it. Like
Just
like
strangers
it's
just
part of the
lean on
bus.
your chair?
Yes, like
Oh,
there was
snap.
literally one time
Oh my
this
God.
lady was like holding on to my chair to like keep her balance, and my homeboy, he was riding with me, he was like, "Hey, get off her." because like this isn't.
You
This
should have
ain't
just
this
started moving your chair while she's trying
Yeah,
to.
I should have. I should have just peeled off real quick
Right.
because it was like, yo, like you guys, like this isn't for you guys to keep your balance. Like,
Right.
It's,
Yeah.
you just think it was.
Well,
just,
you'll love the second question.
yeah.
Do you mind if people talk to you?
We got that more than once.
I don't get it.
We got that. I was looking at.
I
the
would love it
girl's
if somebody
question
like, "How are you today?" What? You just
How dare you speak to me?
You know, but it's, in a weird way, there's some people that do get annoyed by that.
By
but
people talking to them?
yes, absolutely.
That's probably just in
all?
general, though.
yeah, because
Oh yeah, whether they were in a wheelchair or not, they probably didn't. Like
yeah,
it.
it's just like, yo, why are you talking to me? I don't. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't like when the conversation just immediately starts
Yeah.
off with the wheelchair.
So,
yeah.
Or if they're like this. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
right.
that's the word. Literally, I was
Yeah.
in Walgreens the other day, and a dude walked up on me. I'm minding my business, just trying to find some tea. And he walks up on me. He was just like, yeah, I just got done having surgery. I was in a wheelchair for 3 weeks. But after this new surgery, I'm about to be in a wheelchair again. So do you need help with anything? I'm like, bro, why'd you even talk to me?
Oh my god.
Why are you talking to me?
Such an abnormal way to start a conversation.
I'm
I would
telling
love
you.
it if somebody came up to you and go, "Hey, this whole thing, like this one time, like I sprained my ankle.
Yeah.
Man, that 2 weeks was tough.
That's what I'm saying.
So I mean, I can relate.
That's literally what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
That's literally what they're trying to do. I've had a dude.
Was it
on
a
the
white
bus.
person that said that?
Yes, it was.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's
So
you
sorry.
know.
Let me apologize for the contingency of white people. Oh my gosh, I know.
But there was a man on the bus. I cannot make this up. A man on the bus literally was like, you know what? I had a dream last night. And I'm like, God, this is why I put headphones in my ear, even if I'm not listening to music.
Right.
Like, I just don't want to be bothered. And I was like, oh yeah? He was just like, yeah, I had a dream that my wife was going to be in a wheelchair. And I'm like,
He was black.
yeah, of course. Of course. Of course he was. Of course he was.
Now you apologize.
I'm sorry that we had to be like that. 'Cause I can
it was.
imagine, like, listen,
Like,
I
he
had
was
a
like,
dream.
yeah. He was
my
so
wife
big.
is gonna be in a wheelchair. Look
I
what
have a
see.
dream
Yeah,
that one
exactly.
day my wife.
Exactly. And I was just like, bruh, are you serious
Oh,
right now?
that is the worst.
I was just like,
Is
you
that
are
the worst pickup line you ever had?
No.
What's the worst one you ever had?
The worst I ever had, I was at the
Wanna go
club.
rock climbing?
I was at, that was bad too. But no, I was at the club, and so when there's usually like a big crowd, I usually wait till most of the crowd is out, and then I try to like leave because I don't want to be like excuse all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So I'm just posted, just waiting, you know, me and my homegirls or whatever. This dude comes up to me and he's like, "Hey." You should already know he's a black guy by saying that.
Hey.
He was like, "Hey,"
Hey, love.
he was like, "Hey, you know what my fantasy is?" And I was like, I really don't, but I feel like you're gonna tell me. He's just like, I always wanted to eat a girl out in her wheelchair.
Oh my!
And I said,
God.
Yo, I told my homegirls, I said, yeah.
And then
It's
you
time
hit
for us
that
to go.
button.
Yeah.
Well, today is your dream. I have a dream too. I'm all about making dreams come true. Flip.
Let's hit that tilt one time. Yeah. No, but I told the homegirls, I said, yeah, no,
we gotta go, fam.
Yeah.
We gotta go. I said,
Hey,
he's
Miss
took it
Lady.
away. Hey, Miss Lady.
Hey.
No, hey.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, here, this I don't. This just popped in my head. Do you get like when you're on Tinder and Bumble and stuff? Do you get more white dudes hitting on you or black dudes, or Asian dudes, or?
You know what? And this is probably just because I have a personal preference of only dating black men. So
I'm sorry. What? No, I'm just kidding. This is over. We're done. No, all right, go on. Sorry.
But you know what? Because, you know, with Tinder, you know, you swipe who you find attractive. I just
Right.
naturally just find black men attractive
We
all the
get
time.
it.
You know, and I try to swipe on some white boys, but they never match with me. So it's like, it is what it is. But most of the time it is black guys. I mean, because there's Tinder. I've literally done every
Soul
single
Swipe?
dating. Yes, I've done
Is
Soul
Soul Swipe
Swipe.
still around?
Oh yeah.
Yes, it is.
Oh, you
Yeah.
bet it is.
There's Soul Swipe. There's Tinder. I've done POF. I've done Match. I've done.
Okay, Cupid. I'm with you. I'm on
Yeah,
all of them.
I've done.
done 'em all.
There's the actually like an
Black Planet.
upgrade-
Oh, sorry.
No, that's too far back. That's too far back. But I've done Bumble. I've done this other one called BLK, which is basically like an upgraded Soul Swipe.
Got it.
So
download
like
that.
I've done it all. I mean, and ultimately, like now I'm just at the point where I just like sometimes I just like to have conversations. So I'll like download an app and be like, "Hey, what's up?" I don't know. I just be mad bored sometimes.
That's it.
that's
That's all
all
I
I
got.
have.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Well, we
Dope.
have had a
This is awesome.
fantastic time.
Oh,
with Lolo.
good.
Before we go, we want you to have an opportunity to tell people where they can find you, what you're
Yes.
working on, and anything you want the world to know.
Yes. So you can definitely find me on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, Sitting Pretty Lolo. You can find me on Instagram at It's Lolo Love, ITSLOLOLOVE. I actually am starring in my first film
Okay.
that is premiering at Sundance.
Really?
Dang.
Your first
Yes.
film premiering at Sundance?
Yes. The first film ever
Dang.
acting in is premiering at Sundance.
You ain't
Congratulations.
waste no time. Ain't no
As
short film for me,
it's-
boy. Sundance.
Sundance.
I'm over here
So
like,
we're-
hey, can I talk to your manager?
Sundance is not a game. It's called Give Me Liberty. So, look out for that.
Super dope.
And then just continuing to model and be a disability advocate and all of those things.
Well,
So.
thank you
awesome.
so
Yes.
much for being
Yeah,
so
thank you.
open
This
and
is
chatting
dope.
with us.
Yes, of
This
course.
has been Ask a Person in a Wheelchair
Yes.
with Big Irish J, Kev on stage. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.